Ymir is a Norse titan. That is one of those creatures in the Nordic mythology, which is basically the enemy of man and the gods. Also a very fitting name for a black metal band, even though this one is coming from Finland, not from Norway. Now, Ymir got its career started already in the 90s, doing black metal, but during that time there was only one demo out, that is of 1999. Took a few years and the band released its second demo, that is approximately around 2006, and then a lot of silence followed. Now, I don't know what's exactly nowadays lineup with the band, but it seems only one man is really active there. But then again, it shows these three guys here mentioned, so maybe after all it's what you need is a trio of sorts. These guys have been busy with their other bands, mainly bands such as Prophetus, a Finnish doom metal band, and also Vrasjarn, the main guy of the band, being busy with with Prophetus, and his brother, who was already earlier part of the band, busy with Baptism. Now, this new album out on Werewolf Records later this week. I think the official release date is something like 13th of November 2020, if I recall correctly. So already getting this out a little bit in advance. And here is Vrasjarn with his sword, bullet belts, corpse paints and all that stuff, having this very wintry landscape. Unfortunately nowadays winters here in Finland are not exactly like that, not as snowy and icy. But nevertheless, this is a proper soundtrack for these kind of landscapes. After all, this is very much kind of a cold, somewhat grim black metal in the very Nordic ways. So we expect nothing but 1990s style of black metal and ready to go with Ymir. Let's take a look at the band's Metal Archive site. So here you have basic listing of the discography. You also have this member list, which doesn't really seem to hold true with this stuff. Maybe not just updated yet, but anyway. And here we have finally the track list of the album, having classic names such as Pagan Mysticism or Resurrection of the Pagan Fire. These titles, take you to the mindset of the 1990s when black metal was very much flourishing with the second wave ideas. And that's what exactly Ymir is doing. It's melodic, mostly fast tempo, a little bit grim, but not too extreme in any sense. And then there are these synth parts which are there to just kind of add a layer of sort of atmospheric material. So in terms of this being kind of a 1990s stuff, it's interesting that this maintains a kind of a Finnish sound that is very much like bands such as Horna, both in production as well as in songwriting. But then again, all these synth parts and the general feeling could be very much like being some kind of Emperor spin-off with its material. And overall, this is very good stuff. In my opinion, there are no weak moments at all. There is nothing I would remove from the album. And in fact, that this is just some 36 minutes of an album, it kind of leaves you a little bit of thirst for more. You're like, so this album is already done. I'll give it another go, and then you're just maybe satisfied at some point. Now, my only little bit of problem, I wouldn't call it a real problem, but one of the minor flaws I would say is that the vocals are a little bit too much on the background. Now, this is not a big deal, obviously, but it just feels like the screamy parts could just be so much more over there, on the foreground rather than hanging on the background, because now they sound like I wouldn't like to say weak, but that's exactly what comes to my mind, because they're way too unheard, so to say. But overall, like I said, this is a really good album, and I'm really happy that I got for this one for review, because even when I mentioned this on my preview after first listening, I was very sure that this would be one of the better albums in black metal genre anyway of 2020 to be in my list. And when I got later contacted by the band itself to get this copy for review, I was really happy, because this is something that I want to talk about, and I totally urge people to check out the band and the album, of course, in question. Now, like I said, this is out in a few days, so I'm not sure if the material which are already here, like for example, I'll give you a little bit of a link here to Werewolf Records Bandcamp. I mean, there's only one track that is out now, but in the coming days, I guess the whole album will be there for your listening pleasure. So meanwhile, take a look, or rather listen to this track, and you will get to know what I mean by this style of music. And I don't know, maybe even pre-order it. It's really good. So check out Ymir. I hope you enjoy it, and more reviews coming your way. Take care. Should you have questions, comments, put them on the comments box below. See ya.